Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, our weekly webinar is about to start. This is Bill speaking. I'm the founder of Harmony Plus. In the past 242 weeks, we have been hosting such free webinars nonstop. This should be one of our 500 webinars. In the past 242 weeks, we had participants, attendees from all over the world, and of course, mainly in California. But today, we are gathering together, and you can tell very unexceptionally, I feel a little bit nervous today, and my voice is kind of trembling. Yes, I am nervous because today there's a big change compared with the previous webinars. Today, we are honored to have the partnership with Shanghai Jiao Tong University Alumni Association, Silicon Valley, and we got the Alumni Association co-hosting, co-organizing this webinar today with us. So that's another reason we got more new faces, new attendees in the webinar. I know many of our participants are coming to listen to our Dean, Esther Wojcicki, to share about her philosophy and methodology about education, especially about the parenting, about how to raise successful people. And a lot of followers already know that she is a great teacher, a legend in America and also worldwide. And she has successfully raised 3 successful daughters with the first one as the CEO of YouTube, the second one a professor at UCSF, and the third one as the founder and CEO of 23andMe, one of the largest genetic company worldwide. Yeah, while we are waiting for her, I'd like to give a brief introduction about Harmony Plus, about our company, because I noticed today we have so many new people, new attendees from different areas. And I even noticed there are people from Europe, for example, from Lithuania. And also we have attendees from Singapore, from Australia, of course, no doubt, many friends from West Coast and from East Coast in America, and some loyal friends from mainland China and Hong Kong. Yeah, thank you all for participating. Thank you all for joining this webinar today. And for those new friends, yeah, you may feel curious why such a company, such an educational organization has been offering over 500 of times of such a free webinars. What do you do? Some friends even asked me, are you an organization focused on such a free webinars only? No, definitely not. The reason we delivered such a free webinars in addition to our daily operations is we hope through webinars, we can upgrade education together. Upgrade education is the mission of our company, Harmony Plus. We are located in Silicon Valley. Yeah, some people know, heard of this term. To be specific, we are located in Mountain View, where Google is also headquartered. Actually, Facebook Phase 2 is just right across the street of our office. And as an educational company, we have been partnering with UC Berkeley, Stanford, SRI, San Jose State University, and also in different places, in different school districts, like San Jose Unified School District, East Side Union School District, the Fremont Union School District, and the Palo Alto Unified School District. We work closely. We have a programs, reading and writing programs, future entrepreneurship programs, and recently, Future Leadership Academy. Future Leader Academy. Yeah, we are launching many programs following the mainstream line. We call it future planning, how to design your kids' future, how to help your children to plan their future, how to empower them in long term for them to grow. So yeah, uh, today I would like to pass the microphone to our dean, Esther. As I said, she has the great wisdom. I always enjoy such webinar with her. Actually, in the past nearly 5 years, among those 500 webinars we have delivered, I only came up 9 times, and this is my 10th time. I'm encouraged by Esther to stand out and talk with her because I really enjoy. I said when I have a webinar with her, I just enjoy mostly when she's talking, her wisdom just streams out. And now let me give the microphone to her. She will share with everybody about the insight and how independence can empower the greed and success. Esther, welcome.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and especially with parents that are very interested in their children's education and the formation of their children. So, this is a perfect audience. I'm very happy to be with you here. So I'm going to talk to you today about independence. But what I would like you to do is possibly just think about any questions you might have as I talk. And then when we're done, I'll have a question and answer period. So I just want you to know that all questions are welcome. And there is no question that is not a good question. So I'll
Yes,
start.
if you have any questions, just raise in the chat box and then we will answer, or put in the Q&A part. We will answer during or afterwards.
Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen now. And hopefully it'll come up with the one that I need here.
Yeah, Esther, today is we have many surprises, and
Yeah.
we have one attendee from Lithuania, and
From
yeah,
where?
Mr. Jukabos,
But where is he from?
Lithuania.
Hmm. It's amazing. So one of the things that's great about these audiences is you're international. I love that because I
Yeah,
think that our issues are not confined to any one country. They're based on human beings, no matter where you live, all over the world. So this is how independence empowers grit and success. And that's what I'll be talking about. And I have a few things that I'll explain as we go along.
yeah.
So
I just introduced the company part, so you can skip and go in. Yeah,
skip
this
that.
part I already did. Yeah, I
So
already did. Yes. Then start with your book. Yes.
I'll start with my book. So this is my book.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, just for those of you that haven't been here for any of the other webinars, this is the acronym. This is the most important part of my book. And the book is 320 pages, I believe. And it's organized by these categories: trust, respect, independence, collaboration, and kindness. Because my philosophy is that these are the most important things in parenting and in teaching as a teacher. But one of the things that you should know is that parents are the first teachers. They're the child's first teacher. And most parents don't think of themselves that way, but you have the biggest impact of all on your child. And the most impactful years of all are 0 to 5. So that's even before the school gets them. So I just want to give you that information so that you can feel, well, hopefully you'll feel empowered and you won't feel upset or or you won't feel like you can't do it, because all parents can do it. You can do it. Everybody does. So my book was just chosen, it's Financial Times, as the best book of the year by their top columnist, who is actually connected to the royal family. And they're going to be using this as training for the kids in the royal family, as well as students in other schools in the United Kingdom. So I just thought that you might want to know about that. And I think you can find it easily online if you just put in Financial Times and the name of the book. So the question is, why focus on independence? And it's a really good question. Why should we focus on independence? And in today's world, there's a lot of parenting that does not provide for independence. And that is because we have a lot of parents who want to make sure that their children, live a better life than they might have lived and don't have to do any kind of work that they might have done. They really are interested in making sure that somehow their children are treated like little kings and princesses. And so what I want to explain to you is that that is not a way to make your child feel independent. So the reason you want to focus on independence, it enables children to learn, to gain first-hand knowledge. That means a chance to do things on their own. It means that they learn things efficiently. When they learn things by themselves, they really learn it. When they learn it by you helping them do it or telling them what to do, it's a very different kind of learning. And what that does is it basically makes the child somewhat dependent on you. And as I go through this, you'll understand why. So giving them independence means that they learn through trial and error. And that's how we all learn, through trial and error. And as adults, we learn through trial and error. And a lot of people are afraid to take a risk as adults. And those are usually people who somehow learned as children that it was dangerous or that they needed somebody to be there by their side. So one of the first things it does is it fosters self-reliance. Independence means that you feel that you can do it by yourself. And, that's actually a really good thing, because you want your child to do things by themselves. A lot of parents of teenagers are worried that their kids don't feel like they can do it by themselves. And that usually comes from a situation where they were helped too much. It also promotes confidence and self-esteem. And one of the most important things to do is to believe in yourself. And this independence enables you to believe in yourself. It also develops their self-awareness and sensitivity toward others. I'm just going to go through all the different things that you can get as a result of giving your child independence. You're aware of yourself if you try to do things on your own. And it's important not for you as parents not to leap in and do it for them. It gives your child a sense of belonging and importance, and it's essential for building social relationships and for contributing to the world. Especially, I always tell my students that it's important for them to learn how to get that information themselves online, because I said you cannot take me with you to college, and you cannot take your parents with you. And so for you to know how to do these things independently means that you're going to be much more capable and you will have a sense of importance. It also teaches them self-motivation, as they have the freedom to find their own reasons to achieve. It is self-motivation is what we want. It provides them with the belief they are competent and capable of taking care of themselves, which makes them resilient to external challenges. It allows them to be good decision makers and number one, leaders. And we all are trying to get our kids to be leaders. And so if you want your child to be in a situation where they are a leader, they have to feel empowered and they have to have had experiences being independent learners, because leaders don't always ask for opinions or for support from somebody, their parents or from their mentors or whatever. They get ideas, and everybody needs a mentor, but you need to have a sense of independence. So how do you foster independence? You as parents, how do you do that? Number one, offer kids a choice. Number one, that's the most important thing. When you offer kids a choice, you are making and saying to them, first of all, I respect your opinion. I'm interested in your opinion. And therefore, you're going to make an independent choice. So it increases motivation for your child, increases motivation for just doing everything in their environment. When a child perceives his or her environment as controlling, then intrinsic, that's intrinsic means within you, intrinsic motivation decreases. So greater motivation improves performance. So another reason to offer kids choice, kids feel in control. As I said earlier, when children perceive their environments offered choices, they're more committed to participating and taking part in learning activities. Third one, choices build happiness. Children enjoy activities more when they choose them themselves. These are research papers that support this. This is seen even when the activity is not a child's favorite thing to do. And this is one of the most important. You avoid learned helplessness. And depression and anxiety result when a child feels he or she has no influence on the world they live in. And that is unfortunately happening with a lot of teenagers who have been told what to do on a regular basis. So it's really important for a child to feel he or she has influence on the world. And so these are the main reasons to offer kids choices. So, you're going to be able to have this whole presentation. I'll make it available. So if you need to remind yourself, this is a good way to do it. So here's another thing that's happening today in the world, because we're all stuck at home and we're all stuck with remote learning. And here in the United States, things are getting worse, not better. It's unfortunately in Europe as well. So don't monitor their Zoom classroom calls, because that takes away their independence. So if they need help of some kind, they'll call you over and say, I need help. If you can see that they can actually do it by themselves, whatever it is being requested, you should encourage them to do it by themselves. But a lot of parents monitor their kids' classroom calls, and that is counterproductive. Here's another way to empower kids, giving them independence. First of all, we all have battles with our kids. It's like it's nonstop, literally every day, such as, time to eat dinner and the kid doesn't want to eat dinner, or, we're going to go out today and go to the beach and they don't want to do it, whatever. But I'm suggesting you pick your battles, especially with adolescents, because the number one problem that I've seen as a teacher is if kids don't feel like you understand them and you're always on their case about creating problems for them, they tend not to share their ideas. They tend to sort of be quiet. It's the silent treatment. So what I suggest you do is ask for your child's input all the time. Work together to determine the consequences, and children are more likely to follow them if they help. It is so true. All of these are really important. And you want to compromise, negotiate when it's possible, and step back and express your concerns, then let your child decide if they will obey. So back to picking your battles. One of the areas that I gave up on because I decided it wasn't worth it was cleaning the room that they live in, their room. Sometimes those rooms look like a tornado hit them. And so you can suggest it to them, but there are other things that are probably more important besides cleaning their room. And somehow there seems to be, going along with being a teenager, seems to be this love of having chaos in their room. So I just thought, you should know you're probably not the only one. So you want to provide flexibility within structure. That basically means you should have a schedule. You should know, from 8 to 10, this is Zoom calls. From 10 to 11 is like a break, or 11 to 1, more Zoom, 1 o'clock, lunch, or whatever. There should be some kind of a structure to your day, but within that structure, there has to be flexibility, because without flexibility, life is unpredictable. And so you can't be so strict that the structure basically works against you. So you have to have flexibility and within the structure. But what the structure does is that it provides a sense of security for kids because they know what to expect. It's not only for kids, it's for everybody. We all want to have some structure in our lives. The other thing you can do to foster independence is to embrace mistakes. We all make mistakes, and actually little kids make mistakes all the time, and big kids make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And we need to realize that mistakes are part of life, and that's how learning takes place. So I'm going to recommend this book, The Blessing of a Skinned Knee. It's a bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list. And the reason they talk about the blessing of a skinned knee is because if you have a skinned knee, you clearly made a lot of mistakes to get that skinned knee, or maybe not a lot, maybe one big mistake. But the blessing is that you were independent. You tried something new and it didn't work out. You don't want to be in a situation where you try something new and then you give up. So this book talks about that. And it talks about a lot of the things that I also talked about in my book. It talks about teaching respect, why chores still matter. Chores are really important. And in this pandemic, kids should be doing chores. I'll talk more about that. Keeping expectation in line with your child's temperament. They all have different temperaments. You have to be careful about the temperament of each child. Your expectations should still be high, but you need to work with each child individually and make sure that your expectations are not unreasonable. It talks about a lot of things that I actually am not going to have time to go over, but it does talk about these morning, meal times, and bedtime battles, which is what I talked about just a little bit last minute. There do seem to be those times in the morning and at mealtime, and there are battles at those times somehow on a regular basis. None of the kids want to go to bed. And then, of course, in the morning, none of them want to get up. And then they're not hungry when they should be hungry. So what they talk about in this book is solving some of those issues. So we should be giving kids household duties. And this is an example. You know, they are really capable, more capable than you think. And we, by not giving them those responsibilities, we are basically implying that they are not capable of doing it. And so if you give them the independence to do these household duties, it actually makes them feel better about themselves, and it helps you. It helps you lots more than you think. It helps them feel like they're capable of doing it. But there's an epidemic of people out there that do not ask their children to help for some reason. And I think it's primarily because they don't trust them and they don't think they're going to do a good job. And so there's so many people doing that, that there are some courses now that try to help children learn how to do household chores. You need to realize that the more you do for your kids, the less empowered they are. That's actually from my book. And it just makes sense. You know, the more you do for anybody, the less empowered they are. Whatever it is, whether it's cooking or cleaning or fixing your computer, whatever it is, the person being helped is not as empowered. So this is what is now being offered in many colleges around the country. It's called Adulting 101. And it's because so many people have not given their children responsibilities at home. So here's basic how-tos for ages 16 to 25. How about this? Bare essential cooking, how to cook. Most of the kids can't cook for themselves. Financial know-how, you know, how to go to the bank, how to set up a checking account, how to deal with credit cards, how to balance a budget, know what are taxes, how do you know that how much tax you're going to have to pay, how to build credit. There's a lot of things that parents used to teach kids that they don't teach them anymore. This is getting a job and how to read the news. That's something that I have always taught in my classes, how to distinguish fact from opinion, how to move. There's a lot of how-tos that parents are not doing today that they probably could be doing easily in the pandemic. So how independence leads to grit. And it does lead to grit. So independence is tied to passion, and passion is tied to grit. That's according to Angela Duckworth. And Angela Duckworth is the one who says grit is so important. And here's her book. It's a bestseller, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And this is another book that I'm recommending. And it's also a New York Times bestseller. And she says, grit is the key to success, but not without one vital characteristic. One vital characteristic, and this is it. It is passion. And without passion, doesn't work. So grit leads to passion. And if you have a child who is really stubborn and wants to do something their way, I would say that you should probably consider that a blessing, because that means that they have some grit and you don't want to break their spirit. You might want to compromise and collaborate, which is what I said in one of the previous slides. So too much parental control limits a child's curiosity and passion. And if you think about the school system around the world, not just in the US or Europe or China or Asia, wherever, it's everywhere, that the school system takes a small 5-year-old child and they teach them what to do, how to follow instructions, That's the first thing that they do. And then for the next 12 years, they teach them what's right and wrong, and then they teach them what to believe and what to think. And they test them on it. So if there's some reason you don't want to believe all this, or if you don't want to memorize, which is basically what the whole system teaches, you are not going to do well. So the question is, does memorization lead to curiosity and passion? And Sir Ken Robinson, who was one of the famous TED speakers, says that it does not. As a matter of fact, the school system curtails curiosity and passion. It limits it. So kids develop their passion when they're given multiple opportunities to choose. So that goes back to my slide on giving kids a choice. When they have a lot of opportunities to choose, when they're given this independence, they develop passion. So why is it important to give children choices? This or that, how to do it, how many, who will help, what color, whatever. Choices allow children to partake in decisions and the decision-making process. And it increases engagement and decreases problem behavior. So in my classes in a high school with students aged 15 to 18 years old, I let the students help me come up with the rules for the class. I gave them choices. And in doing so, I was able to have 70 kids in a class, all working productively because they had helped come up with the choice of the rules for the class. And every year I allowed each class to come up with their own rules. And it just works. It works so well as a teacher with a lot of students, and it works really well as a parent. So actually, one of the keys is to offer a limited menu of choices. Of course, you can't have, I couldn't have class outside on the grass all the time, or I couldn't say there's no class Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of every week. There are limits. And there's limits to what you as parent can do. But within those limits, there's also choices. And so offering a choice prevents negotiation and will help avoid a power struggle. Giving choices that are not available, you want to avoid that. And giving an empty threat, like canceling a major holiday. Don't make threats that you would never do. That's actually a really dangerous thing to do. So encourage kids to participate in extracurricular activities because it builds higher self-esteem. So Angela Duckworth talks about extracurricular activities in her book. And a lot of people think of extracurricular activities as sports. Well, yes, for sure, that's extracurricular activities. Sports fall into that category, but also so do things like chess, and so do things like, arts and crafts and music, and all of those fall into extracurricular activities. And so we recommend that, and I recommend that as well. So here's the research from Angela's book. And this is Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States. And it says, if you want to lead a happy, healthy, helpful life, you want to cultivate many aspects of your character, like honesty, kindness, generosity, curiosity, and grit. And it's in this article. So that's important for all parents to read. And for those of you that are very academic, I recommend you look up this article. Here's another one that is important, which Angela Duckworth says also, effort overshadows talent. Greatness is attainable. Greatness is small achievements built over a period of time. So what you want to do is compliment your child for their effort. You want to say, you put in amazing effort. You don't want to say you've got talent, because what you're trying to encourage is effort. They might have talent, which is great. Ice skaters or swimmers or, people with math skills, they might have talent, but that talent can sometimes go to waste if they aren't willing to put in the amazing effort that is required. So here's another thing that you can say: you tried it, but it didn't work out. That discourages growth. You can say, you tried it, but it didn't work out. Want to figure out how you could do it better? That encourages kids to do it again. And that's what I always did in my classes. Nobody got a grade on the first time they wrote an essay or first time they took a test. They always had to revise, because no one does it perfectly the first time. And I also wanted to give them the idea that they could do it well, even if they didn't do it right the first time. Here's another one that discourages growth. This activity is just not for you. You just can't do it. That's pretty discouraging. On the other hand, you could say, you can do this activity and I'm there to support you. And it reminds me of my daughter, Anne, who decided that her activity, the favorite thing she was going to do, was be an ice skater. And she made this decision when she was about 5. You can imagine. I thought to myself, really, why did I ever take her to the ice skating ring? But I did. But I supported her. And, through the years, she became really an excellent ice skater. And she actually ended up being on a synchronized ice skating team at college. And so, she was very happy with the fact that she did ice skating. And she wasn't perfect to start. And so, but she got really good. I mean, if you saw her today, as an adult, you could tell right away the minute she gets on the ice that can do a really good job. So as I said, you want to foster effort over talent so that kids understand that their current ability can be improved and formed into mastery. All kids, I could take, in my classes, I sometimes had girls, it seemed to be preponderance of girls, who just were too shy to say anything in the class at the 10th grade level. And I encouraged them to speak out. I put them in positions of responsibility. And I can tell you that in most cases, by the 12th grade, they were leaders and they were very capable of speaking out and saying what they thought. So you just have to make kids aware of that effort is what matters. So this is something that I wanted to suggest for you to do with your child. Learning from others can be very inspiring. So you can have your child do this. Choose a person you know and ask if you can interview him or her about how they achieved their biggest goal, because nobody achieved it right away. And then my name and the person I'm interviewing is, and then have them talk about what is the biggest goal you've ever set that you were able to achieve? And what did you have to do to accomplish that goal? And did you ever think of giving up? If so, how did you overcome that thought? And how did you feel when you accomplished that goal? This is a great grit interview, because what it does also is it shows kids that nobody accomplishes a goal the first time around. They always have to work at it. And, one of the stories that I know about, but I didn't write about this in my book, but I know. So I met Jeff Bezos in 1990s at Stanford University. And he presented in this, it was a workshop for writers, this idea that he wanted to have an online bookstore where people bought books online. And I remember thinking, that's kind of a crazy idea. And I think a lot of other people thought that too. And so he went on, I stayed in touch with him and friends with him. He went on to set up his company, Amazon. And I don't know whether most people know that he presented his idea to more than 60 venture capital firms, and he was turned down by every single one. But he didn't give up. He finally got his funding, his first funding, from his mother. So, I mean, as far as I can say, Amazon is really a story of grit, because who would have ever guessed that we would be buying books online? Bookstores, they were an integral part of the American way of life. That's what you did on Saturday night, as you went to a bookstore and looked at the new books and the new CDs. Of course, we have no CDs anymore either. So this is a great opportunity for your child to find out stories about you and about the family and about friends. So you want them to know that they have a growth mindset, the belief that skills, intellect, and talents can be developed through practice and perseverance. And this is one of the keys. Years ago, we used to think that, once you have an IQ and it's fixed and there's nothing you can do about it, and you have a fixed mindset, but it's not true. You keep growing no matter how old. And this was promoted by a Stanford professor, Carol Dweck. And the name of her book, which I also recommend, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, How We Can Learn to Fulfill Our Potential. And she is amazing. And she's sold more than almost 2 million copies of that book. And this is what she says: if parents want to give their children a gift, the best thing they can do is teach their children to love challenges, be intrigued by mistakes, enjoy effort, and keep on learning. That way, their children don't have to be slaves of praise. They will have a lifelong way to build and repair their own confidence. Very important advice. And one more book, New York Times bestseller. These are all people I know and I recommend their books. They're great. How Children Succeed by Paul Tough. Grit, Curiosity, and the Hidden Power of Character. He talks about the same things that I talked about in my book and the same things that Carol Dweck talked about in her book. And so he's just another voice that says the same thing. So everyone needs to feel like they belong and they are successful, everybody. And that's one of the things that's so important in school and so important just in life. A feeling that you belong and that you are accepted no matter what. And so this is healthy self-talk that kids should be saying to themselves. And they should say, whoops, I made a mistake, and not, I'm so stupid. Or this, I like myself, I like me, or no one likes me. You don't want that. I did something bad. Yes, we all do bad things, something that didn't work out, and not that I'm a bad person. This is really hard, but I'm going to keep trying. And not that I give up. I'll never be able to do this, no matter what it is. I can tell you, I even did some crazy things like, I'm sorry, crazy. I managed to put shingles back on my roof because I said to myself, I'm going to do it. And honestly, you know, it's not that hard. Well, I don't recommend it. It's dangerous, but still, I did it. I haven't figured it out yet. Is better. This is what you should say to yourself, not, I never get anything right. And another one, I'm enough and I'm worthy too. You need to really, kids and everybody really needs to feel good about themselves. I'm enough and I'm worthy too, and not that I'm not good enough. That is bad thinking. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening, and I welcome your questions. And I'm very happy that you are all able to be here today.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. A great talk. As I said, as always, your wisdom just stream out. I think everybody enjoys. Okay, all attendees, you can type your questions in the chat box or through the Q&A function offered by Zoom. When you are typing, I'm going to announce the winners of today's webinar because before this webinar, we announced that people who invited over 10 people will be rewarded with a book, How to Raise Successful People. Oh, yeah, it's in my hand now, and also with our Dean Esther's signature. So the first winner is Yudi. Okay, Yudi Deng. And there's the second one. Yeah, after saying congratulations to Yudi, and thank you very much for organizing and inviting so many new friends to the webinar. And I'm looking for a mystery, actually. I'm looking for a person named or titled as MIT Mom. This must be a hero, not because this mom maybe raised the kids going to MIT, a great university, but actually people referred to this name saying this MIT mom introduced them to join this webinar. So I'm looking for Lily Deng, Zhan Shao, Rebecca Gao, Chunxia Han, Han Chunxia, Cherry Wu. Okay, I saw all these names invited by the MIT mom. So any of you are in this webinar now, please chat with me in the chat box and give me more details about this MIT mom. I'm going to send her a book written by our Dean Esther and also with her signature. This will be a special appreciation to this MIT mom. This topic is about independence, but actually I also think about another word called interdependence. So we are actually relying on each other, especially great things, great stuff should be shared and let more people know. It's especially such a valuable insight and wisdom. Okay, yeah, so after the congratulations, let's move on to the Q&A sessions. I just got some questions. And here is, let me go to this one first. Okay, this one is actually not about the student, not about the kids yet. It's about the parents. How can parents better control their emotions?
That's a great question. I mean, this is a very, very insightful question. Also, I want to say that if I don't get to your question tonight, I will answer your question on my blog. And I have a blog, it's Wojway, WOJWAY.com. And I will try to answer them on that blog, because some of the questions I get on these webinars are just amazing, and they show a lot of insight. So the parents, how can they control their emotions and how they behave? First of all, it's very hard to do it. And the reason it's hard to do it is because instinctively we parent the way we were parented. So parents that might have suffered from, physical abuse as a child, they promise themselves that when they grow up, they would never do that to their children. And they end up doing the same thing. And research shows that it's really tough to change that and also to control your behavior. So what I suggested and what I've done personally is that if you make it on the conscious level, and that's why I developed this acronym TRICK, because what you have to do is stop yourself and say, am I trusting my child? And am I respecting their ideas? And you need to ask yourself each time you think that you might be doing something that might not be in their best interest. And it really helps, because I grew up in a family where my parents came from Russia. My father was born in the Ukraine, and the parenting type in the Ukraine and Russia was that it was okay to beat your children with a belt, actually. And this was considered appropriate for the times. And so, unfortunately, I experienced this growing up, and I said to myself, I never want to do that. I never want to hit my children. But I can tell you, my gut reaction when they were really bad was, oh my God, I'm going to do it. But I didn't, because I put it on the conscious level, and I stepped back and I said, 1, 2, 3, count to myself, be a little bit, take some time. And then, so I changed my parenting. And so that's the way I suggest. I think there's other books out there that suggest the same thing. There's a lot of books, but I think it's important for you, especially if you want to be a helicopter parent, or, and oversee all the kids' problems on Zoom, because they're all having problems on Zoom. You just need to stop and say, am I respecting their rights? Am I giving them the independence that I would like them to have in order to develop these skills? So you have to talk to yourself, and don't beat yourself up either, by the way. That's the other thing that's really important, because people get really mad at themselves, and then you can't get too mad at yourself. You have to forgive yourself first, because otherwise you're going to be mad at yourself all the time.
I think sometimes the parents are emotional or lost temper because they feel they lost the control. They want to control the kids, but they lost the control, or the kids played tricks. Okay, here comes a question from Jasmine. My child is kind, generous, and curious. He's not honest with me. The word trick can be used to describe his constantly tricking me to believe he's working when he's not. How do you interpret this kind of behavior, and how do you foster independence with this type of teenager?
Oh my God, that's another great one. Really? So this is the teenager. They have to realize that it's their life, and what they're doing with their life might not be the best thing. You have to discuss it with them, because I'm telling you, you can't control them. Your ability to control a teenager, it's over. And you can threaten them, and you could do all kinds of things, and they may reform temporarily, but it won't be sufficient. So this teenager sounds like he is tricking you all the time. And I would say one thing, let him read the book. My students all like the book, by the way, and say that this is the way that you want to interact in the future, and you want to have open discussion. And it's a control issue in some sense, like Bill was saying earlier. You know, the parent wants to feel in control and the child wants to be in control. But in fact, if you just think about it, honestly, the child is in control of their life. And as soon as they leave your house, they're in control. And so they're building a sense of control as they develop. And you want them to also develop a sense of respect for you and ability to always collaborate, talk to you about what they're thinking. Because when they're 18 years old and move out, they don't have to talk to you at all. And you don't want a situation where they don't want to talk to you. You want them to share everything with you. And you want to be able to influence them if you can, you know, politely. Look, and I'm dealing with my daughters who are like now already parents themselves, and my grandparent and my grandchildren. And, you know, fortunately, we have a very open relationship. So I can tell them what I think. But I know there's a lot of families where the grandparents aren't welcome to say anything because the grandparents are trying to be too controlling. You have to be careful. Sorry about that. But I think
I love the word you said about the open relationship. I think that's a term quite new to many people from our Chinese community. Open relationship. I think that's very important for us to rethink. And here I can imagine, because every day I talk to parents, every year I have hundreds of parents talk to me, and many of them express the same concerns, especially about actually independence means kids want to run away. But as parents, we were taught as kids are part of us, or kids are part of our belongings. And we are so afraid of their failures or they got hurt. So here comes some typical question related to the pandemic even. And also, yeah, like during this remote learning time, you said, yes, not to monitor their class course, but how do I encourage my 16-year-old son to study harder rather than for.
so. At the age of 16, your son should be taking on that responsibility himself. And it's, so here's one thing that all parents of boys should know. Boys develop at a very different rate. And in general, boys have a much harder time following instructions and doing what they're supposed to do than girls. And this is all the way through schooling. But as a teacher, I can tell you that between 16 and 18, all the boys who were forgetting to turn in their homework, who weren't thinking in logical ways, who were fooling around all the time, there's something that happens. I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden they develop into much more responsible kids. And they end up doing the things that are necessary, because what you need to make them realize is that it's their life. They are it's not, you know, they're not doing this for you. They're doing this, whatever it is in school, for them. And, you know, if they don't want to, you know, succeed at all the things they're supposed to, then, you know, that's their opportunity. You know, take a look at some of the most original thinkers out there. Let's take a look at Elon Musk and ask what kind of a student was he when he was in high school and college. You know, he got C's and D's. He barely made it through. And that's because he refused to memorize. And, the system is based on memorization. Everybody memorizes all the time. And if you don't want to memorize, well, then you're not going to succeed. But people that don't want to memorize are the ones that turn out to be the most creative. So I think the best thing you can do, and I know Bill talks to all these parents all the time, is to talk to your kid. Treat them like they are, like they have like you respect them and you want to know what their ideas are. I think respect goes a long way.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that actually leads us back to the first talk, the second talk about respect. This is also a challenge to most parents from Chinese community, because since we were kids, we were not really taught about parenting, and we were taught to follow parents' instructions. And this is actually a big legacy to the community. And we think we need to protect our kids. And here I can see such questions from parents asking, what will be the best time to encourage risk taking and independence? What would be the best time? And want to give them advices, and also some concerns about the kids because they are young. How big the risk can we bear or give the tolerance to let them try and fail? Like these days, the pandemic, it is risky. Actually, even this morning, encouraged by you, I actually had my son out for hiking with his friend. But we noticed, I mean, I and also his friend mom both discovered that none of them prepared. No hand sanitizer, no water, nothing prepared. And we just laughed. And they are kids, and we only laugh, okay, they are kids and they are taking the risk, but this is controllable. But think about some bigger events like 40, 50, 50 years ago in China, Cultural Revolution, or like recent days, the BLM, or even the election chaotic situations in the States. Some situations are beyond the kids' control, and also their ability to evaluate the risk and the danger. How can the parents, I mean, to manage this? When should we empower them for independence? How should we, is there a standard?
That's again a great question. And this is a very challenging time for all of us. I mean, here in the United States, we have almost 200,000 new cases a day, per day, of the virus. And it's an epidemic of vast proportions, and it's even in Europe. And so in those cases, I would say that you have to talk to your child about how to prepare for a risk and what can you do to protect yourself and your family. And I think that one of the smartest things that they can do is wear a mask, and but not just a simple cloth mask, but wear a mask like, some of the masks, the masks that are considered good quality masks that have multiple layers of cotton or something like that. I
Like
think
KN95.
Yeah, the N95 are good masks. But so what you have to do is talk to them. All the kids that I know are willing to prepare. And I say, we don't have the Boy Scouts anymore very much, but the Boy Scouts motto always was be prepared. And the idea is to teach kids to be prepared. You don't want to be sorry that you made this mistake. And they're simple. Actually, the rules are pretty simple. And in China, you have to admire the fact that they controlled 1.5 billion people, and everybody had to follow the directions. I think that's what's the problem here in the US, is that people don't have to follow directions. And It's kind of like the seatbelt law, in the 1990s, people refused to wear seatbelts. And their attitude was, if I want to die, I have the right to die. And it took a while to get that passed. And here people have to wear masks and have to stay, 6 feet apart. I don't know whether it's going to work now anymore because it's so, that's everywhere. So I think the best thing that they need to do, and you can talk to kids about it. As a matter of fact, it's interesting at Gunn High School here in Palo Alto, the school district is saying that all the classes have to start in January. They want kids and all the teachers to go back in January. And there was just an article published by the students at Gunn High School saying, no, this is not a good idea. We've thought about it. So these are 15 to 18-year-old kids who say to the parents, we don't think it's a good idea. So I think you want to empower kids to think, and that, be critical thinkers. And the system encourages following instructions, but it doesn't encourage thinking. And here in the US or in Europe, I think you need to think more. I mean, I think that in China, they actually did a great job of controlling the pandemic with smart people who took action immediately. And it's not just China, it's all over Asia. I mean, just look at Japan. The virus is like not there. I mean, if we don't have to go around looking for examples of what works, it's already there. Just have to look toward the east.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
then
good.
I guess it's a control issue here in the US, It's like, you don't tell me to wear a mask if I don't want to wear one, I don't have to. It's crazy. So if they want to die, I guess, I don't know, we should let them die.
Yeah, people can view things from different sides. Yeah, look at this parent asked, as a mother of 4-year-old, I would like to know, how do you see a child with a bossy, aggressive personality? Some believe that it is a good sign for leadership, but others may see that as a kind of rudeness.
So I personally, as a teacher, would say that this is great. This is a good sign of an independent thinker. And one of the best things you can teach that child is how to be a good communicator and logical. But if they have good ideas, or if they have ideas that they think are good, you might not think they are good. You can communicate with them, teach them to communicate and to collaborate. That is the most important thing. And so you can say, we're going to do it your way this time, and then next time it's going to be my way. And then this is how it works. We're taking turns. And they need to know that. But I must say, I really enjoyed having students who were always asking questions and challenging things, challenging me, because that's a kid that thinks. But a lot of teachers don't like that. They want you to not ask questions and just do what they say. But that's not critical thinking. So I think don't get mad at your kid if they ask good questions. So,
yeah, okay.
But the 4-year-old, if they have to go, they definitely have to go to bed. Okay, so that's one of the big contention points. It's like, time to go to bed. It's like, nope, I don't want to go to bed. And then they throw a temper tantrum, so that you are in control there because everyone has to go to sleep.
Okay, yeah, this is actually a big problem, big issue now, especially during the pandemic. Most of the kids are learning online, they stay at home. And we do have more questions from parents about this. And just now in your slides, you mentioned about giving kids more options. But a common question is, same as I heard from the recent meeting with my son's school president, headmaster, and kids asked, sorry, we don't have many options. If we don't play online games, what do we do? And also parents asked, how can we reduce the screen time? How can we control their online games? And parents also mentioned kids regard such online games as the best opportunity for social activities to hang on with their friends.
Can I
Yeah,
talk
but
about that?
how can we manage this?
Yeah,
Yeah, please.
let
Yeah.
me tell you. So all the research so far shows the main thing that kids miss about school, it's not the work and it's not the teachers, it's their friends. That's all they miss. And the social aspect of school is creating a big problem for everybody because it's missing. And so that is one of the reasons why kids want to play games all the time, because they're social. And it makes a huge difference to be able to be on some kind of a gaming site with your friends. And I sympathize with these kids, and that's they want to play Roblox and they want to do, I don't know, Minecraft. And a lot of the kids, they, as far as I can tell, they look addicted. But the reason they're addicted is because they're lonely. And so remember I suggested that you took that hike and the kids forgot their water and they forgot their spray and whatever. So
oh, they did bring their masks. They did have masks on. That's the good part.
So they remembered something. But
yeah, they were excited, by the way. They were too excited to go out. They're very happy.
I'm sure that's what I recommend for all the parents. Take them out for a hike, somewhere. There must be a hike, or even if you live in a city area, Central Park in New York, there's a park. There's places to take them out, or just to walk around the shopping mall. They're tired of sitting in front of a screen too. But also, I think the gaming, I'm more lenient on the gaming. And then remember that I set up this website for kids, Tract, TRACT.app. And we're building into that gaming with learning. So I'm trying to help kids learn and game at the same time so that when they're not in school actually learning, they can game and learn and be with their friends. But anyway, it's coming along. It's not ready yet, 100%. So, and also I think one of the things that I think is good that you're doing here with the book club, by the way, is that kids are now coming up with their own ideas for books. So they can talk to each other about this. So they're going to be more interested in reading books as long as they can talk to each other. Because nobody likes to do anything alone. No one. That's why all of you who have home exercise equipment, don't use it, because no one wants to do their exercise alone. Peloton, that's
at
how
least
they
very
do.
few. Yeah, maybe 1.8% of the population they can do just by themselves.
Right, the Olympic
but most
athlete.
others, we need to be social and we need to interact with others and we need to enjoy the programs. Actually, thank you for mentioning the book club thing. I'm also encouraged. Also, I'm transparently share with many attendees today. I'm pushed and also encouraged by my own kids as well, and also their friends. With Harmony Plus also offer many online programs. We have been online since we were established 6 years ago. So when hundreds of kids they participated there, our reading and writing programs, or Future Entrepreneur Challenge program, or Future Leader Academy. Actually, Future Leader Academy is on right now, coached by Professor Matthew Brown from U Michigan Ross School of Business. Yeah, such programs had got some high praise. And my daughter's friends said, hey, Joanna, can you tell your dad and mom, please launch more programs? We actually don't want to go to school. We prefer to go to your programs. Can your dad and mom and the colleagues launch a new school? I said, okay, let me ask our dean, Esther, how about we launch a real school? Yeah, I appreciate such encouragement from so many students and parents. We are on the way. We are developing. The pandemic is overwhelming to so many people, to millions of people worldwide. So we are on the way. So if you have better solutions, better ideas, please share with us. We are not capable to do everything. We are not capable to generate the original ideas just by ourselves, but we are doers, we are supporters, and we are collaborators. If you have some good ideas, let's do it. Actually, today my daughter enjoyed her playwriting program, and she shared with me, all my classmates are happy and they just finished the creative writing and now they started the playwriting. So happy. Everybody's excited. I think this is something we can do tinily, but for more options, I am trying as my own experiment. I'm doing this with my son's school. I talked to many parents recently. We should try at least to talk with our kids and ask them, what are your ideas? Let us support you. Yes, we have been lazy these days. I mean, of course, we work very hard. We are all multitasked, but we spend less time with our kids for soccer, for basketball, for outdoor activities. And look at the mileage of your cars. I can bet it's just the 10% of previous years, or even less. I have one car not moved at all. Yeah, because we just reduce such time. Go out with the kids and ask them. We are going to support them to be their drivers as before. I think that will be the time to have open conversations. If they need resources, let's discuss. Let's see what we can do. At least I can see by my own eyes that in our reading club, students, they are voting for the books they recommend. So they are empowered. Let's empower them together. It's not just Esther's recommendation, not Bill's recommendation, not Dr. Glenn's recommendation. These recommendations came from the students themselves, so they are engaged. I think we can try whether we are successful from the beginning or not. We are learning. We are role models for our kids. If we can give big tolerance to our own feelings, why not for our kids, right? Then the kids can be more encouraged. And also, here comes another question about a passion. That's also my my direction as well. That's also part of a Harmony Plus missions and what we do, helping kids to find their passions. These several questions asked, like my kids don't have a clear direction, not clear about the passion. How can we as parents help our kids to find the kids' direction? Do you have any assessment toolkits to help them to select their future majors? Yeah, I think we, both Esther and I shared in previous webinars. Here we have done hundreds of assessments for different students. I personally interpret as well for many students through 6 pillars, and we help them to narrow down. It's a strong analysis, help them to find out their real passion, their directions. One case I'm going to share is 3 weeks ago, I got a straight A student. She said she is passionate in clinical psychology, but through our conversation, I realized, at least I challenged, maybe not. But after the assessment, 291 questions she answered, we actually didn't find strong connections, strong relations to clinical psychology. But in terms of major, she is actually strong candidate for MET program at UC Berkeley, management, entrepreneurship, and technology, operated and delivered by College of Engineering and the Haas School of Business. It's a dual degree program that happened. That would not happen without Herman Deere and me if we didn't do the consulting project for Berkeley 6 years ago. So something we can help to find. Esther also co-founded another company. It's called Track. Esther, can you introduce more? Let's help the students. Yeah. How the Track to help the students.
Right. So I think the kids, as Bill was saying, that first of all, they have these tests, Harmony Plus, the strong tests that your kids can take. The other thing they can do is try a lot of extracurricular activities and see what they like, see what kind of sports they like. One of the things that's important for parents to know is that kids the ages of 15, 16, 17, they don't actually know what they want to be for sure. They try a lot of things. So don't worry if they don't know yet. I think a lot of parents are stressed about it. And then here's another thing that parents should know, that I'm at Stanford and have been here for years and work in something called Media X at Stanford. So I know a lot of students. And there is a known problem in the seniors that are graduating from Stanford, that a lot of them are very stressed because they aren't sure what they want to do when they graduate. And so if your child is doesn't know what he wants to do for sure when he's 10, don't worry, because when he's 22, he might still not know exactly what he wants to do. And also just look at all these people who change their mind about the job they want to be in, when they're 30 or when they're 35. So you want to give your child the option to explore and to make choices. And then also, as I said, I have that new program, Tract, TRACT.app, that gives kids an opportunity to try lots of things. And I mean, it's just a fun opportunity for trying a lot of different types of things to see what you're interested in. I guess.
Yeah, that test can be very, very important. I think that's why we always emphasize to parents about the strong test or any other assessment. There are many tools that can be applied for kids, but the more important part is how to interpret and also how to lead the kids to think and take some actions.
Yeah,
I should say,
I like the strong test. I just want to reaffirm what Bill said. I think it helps kids understand what they may or may not like. They can try it out, and like, oh, the test is this. Yeah.
Because another reason is it's not 100% accurate. It's a very good reference. So we actually organize some activities at Harmony Plus. We actually offer some, for example, EATIC. It's an extracurricular activity, training, and internship club. Kids need to test, to give some feedbacks to you and to themselves, whether this is the real passion. For example, the clinical psychology. That student actually, we offered her an opportunity to do an internship with a real clinical psychologist who is actually famous in Bay Area for over 30 years. I assume after 2 or 3 months, this student will know clearly whether that's the real passion.
That's right. And that's such a great idea. So this new club it's a club, right, Bill? I think. where
Yeah, actual EATIC, extracurricular activity, trainee, internship club.
so that there could be internships. Kids can learn a lot from an internship. And so, that's something that they might want to try. And some of these internships, or most of them, don't pay. But I mean, like, for example, let's say a kid thinks that he might want to be a veterinarian. There's all kinds of internships available at the shelters for pets, for animals. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about the career you think you might be interested in by doing an internship or just a volunteer position. So I recommend that. And it's, they can take the strong test, and then they can try out a few things.
Yeah, volunteer. Actually, volunteer can be for something bigger for the society. It can also be as small as for the family. Here we have a parents asked about how to motivate kids to do some housework, some chores. Like, is it a good idea to pay the kids, or should we just encourage them as a responsibility or volunteer, or just pay them to do it?
No, they're part of the team. So here's the thing: if they want to be paid for, doing the laundry or vacuuming or something, then you're like, well, how much do you think mom and dad should be paid for washing dishes and making dinner and buying the food? No, they're part of the team. You have to explain this is a team. And especially now that we're all home in the pandemic, we need them to be part of the team. And, by telling them that they're capable, you respect them. It shows you think they're capable. And honestly, while you might think that they are, or they might think that you're taking advantage of them or forcing them to work when they don't have to, if they have another concept about how they're part of the team, it works better. My grandchildren are doing everything. Like, I'm not kidding, vacuuming, doing the laundry. Okay, sometimes they do a terrible job.
Non-pay, right?
No pay.
Non-pay.
No, I know. But
Okay.
but one of the kids put a purple shirt in with the white thing, so everything turned pink. So okay, there there's some drawbacks, but
yeah, I think this mom maybe should ask, or this parent should ask the child. This parent said, I don't monitor my third graders' Zoom classes, but I check his Schoology homework daily. My intention is to help him correct the spelling, grammar, and improve his writing, because I found that his teacher just puts a check mark without any comment on improvement. Am I doing too much?
Yes, you're doing too much. Also, you're doing the work for the teacher. The teacher should not just check it. The teacher should give feedback.
Yeah, I think that's a reason. This actually explains why so many students and parents love Harmony Plus programs, because our programs, we have Glenn, we have Benji, we have Kayla, all the instructors under your team, they give feedback to students.
It's without that, that's not a class, that's a joke. You have to give feedback. Yeah, the Harmony Plus programs are very effective. First of all, the classes are small, and the teachers are very interactive, so they care.
Oh, so I just realized we already spent 1 hour and a half. This is the new history, new record. Yeah. Anyway, let's narrow down. And I think I must answer questions from Phyllis. This lady, she's the super mom. Thank you, Phyllis. You have been following our webinars since March, I believe, till now. Every time I can see you, great to see you again. And your first question is about the Chinese version of Esther's book. It will be available by the end of this month.
Yes, they said that hopefully it will be available by the end of November. It might take a little bit longer It's not clear
Mm,
because of there's approval coming from the government, from the ministry. And
yeah,
I think that the pandemic hasn't helped that. But, everybody's ready to go because Bill is helping. And then Tall Education, which is a big company in China, is helping. And then my student, I think you talked to Sina, he's helping.
yeah.
So it's
Uh,
going to be, it should be very exciting. I'm really excited about it. I'm only
Yeah, and
sad that I
Felice,
can't
we
go.
are organizing. Yeah, Esther as our dean, we are is having all the support from the entire team. But yes, we try all our best, but we are small. So if parents like you would like to contribute a little bit to spread these, to share these with more parents, we appreciate. And I appreciate more to this question from you, Phyllis. You asked, can you hold a webinar for Esther to speak to kids? Kids need her mentoring. Okay, thank you. This is a great question. Esther, what do you think?
I would be happy to
Talk
talk
to the
to
kids.
kids. We should do one for kids. So I love kids. And so somehow or other, kids and I get along really well. And I'm not sure what it is, but all my daughters said to me, Mom, I think your personality was arrested at the age of 16, and that's why all the kids like you. But I don't know, but I'd be happy to do a webinar with the kids and talk to them and give them some suggestions. And that's why I was in the classroom for 40 years, because I had a good time and the kids all liked it. And my program grew from 20 kids in 1984 to almost 800. But anyway, yes, I will do it.
Yeah. Okay. The last question from Julia. How many past Thanksgiving and winter break programs on its website already? Julia, I apologize. I'm a terrible. I'm a founder. Some people say I'm a good leader, but I'm not a good manager. I mean, this detail I don't really know. Our website is not updated on daily basis. And it was actually created by one of our students 3 or 4 years ago. It's less updated, but we update every day on our social media, on our homepages on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So you can get the updates there. And our colleagues are willing to answer your questions all the time. And thank you for always with being with us. I think this is our great honor, and this is the best encouragement to me and also to our team. Yeah, time flies. Already over 1 hour and a half. So let's do the closing. And also just to tell everyone, we are going to share more next week. And because one parent asked me how to apply Esther's philosophies and methodologies in daily life, we just by chance found a great mom, a Ganghai mom, and her daughter studies at Ganghai as a 10th grader. She is a person applied chick, and she will share her experiences and failures and also success in the past 15, 16 years. I think you're welcome to join us next week. Again, thank you everyone for participating to be with us. Whatever we said in such webinars are not standard answers. There are no standard answers for everybody's education. Okay, we are on the way. We are the team to work with you together, find the customized, the tailor-made, the best approach for your kids, and find the best way to empower your kids because they are born with their own wisdom. So we just try to support them, to enlighten them, and to help them to find their own wisdom. That's our mission to upgrade education together with you. Without you, we can do nothing. Thank you again for everybody's participation. And those two winners, please talk to our colleagues and then get the books with Esther's signature. See you next Saturday. And Esther will be here with you in 3 weeks.
Thank you,
See
everybody.
you.
That's really
Thank you,
great.
everyone.